You just go at it or what?
You know, it's like it's either going to fail or it's going to win. And I failed.
You're like not disciplined enough.
Yeah, that's a part of it. Hey, somebody asked for your card today.
Well, can you tell them to shut up there?
No, my daughter's not dating a musician.
All right, great. So welcome to Be Frank podcast. This is Jesse Allenhorn. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, man.
So, we go way back. I think it's like we met like 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
I say more closer to 10.
10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I was bartending at the JJ's.
You were a bar back.
Bar back.
Yeah. Yeah. But you did eventually become a bartender. That was really fun.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about drinks or whatever. Yeah, and then you were already playing the music that back then. How long you been playing music?
Oh, man. I think I would be professionally, I would say like 10, 15 years in between there.
15 years?
Yeah.
Awesome.
But I started doing music back when I was like 13, 14 years old. Yeah.
What was like a first show you played and then like, well, I knew, you knew like you're going to be like a professional, like a musician?
Honestly, I think it was at a church.
Yeah?
Yeah. And it was really cool. Like, it was cool kind of like practicing and putting something together and then putting it in front of an audience and then seeing the reaction in a positive way. It was like, okay, it kind of motivated me to go back home and practice another one and bring it to back to the stage. And, church is, it's kind of a safe place, you know, like, even if you got up there and you didn't sound that great, they're going to have a lot of positive, there's going to be a positive output, like
Gotcha.
They're going to react to you a lot nicer than you would be at like a JJ's Alley.
Right. Yeah. Is that like, because I was wondering, like, because like, I told you like this is my second episode of a podcast.
Yeah.
And then also like, I've been filming for other people and then like being in front of camera, it's kind of like, that was my insecurity, how I speak my like English and all that kind of stuff. That was like kind of scared to talk in front of camera kind of stuff. But did you ever like a fear of singing? Did you go through that or?
I still get it.
You do?
Yeah. Most of the times when I get nervous, it's because I'm pretty great. I'm pretty.
You're pretty great.
Yeah. No, I mean like I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
With improvising, like especially when it comes to music and stuff like that. Like I kind of understand the basics, like of the wheelhouse, how the guitar works, piano and stuff. But like sometimes you'll get put into an environment or a show where there's a script, and if it's not rehearsed, I get a little nervous.
Yeah. What do? You just go at it or what?
It's one of those kind of sink or swim kind of environments. It's like it's either going to fail or it's going to win. And I failed, There's like we all do, but, and then that one time when it wins, you pick up on, you kind of pick up on different ways to kind of execute the mission of whatever show performance that you're putting on. Like it's almost habit forming, Yeah. So it's just like the more you practice it, the better you can become at it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Practice makes it easier.
Yeah,
right?
Man.
Everything.
I remember because when I first met you, you were a bar back.
Yeah.
And I waited tables across the street.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Mantles?
No, it was over at Nona's.
Oh, Nona's.
I don't think Nona's is there anymore.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
And it was actually a pretty fun job.
Right.
But we just catered. You know what I mean? Like we'd get large parties up there. But I would stop off at JJ's before because it was right across the street.
Right.
And I'd sometimes get lucky and get to play on stage. It was before I was actually really playing.
Oh yeah, you were playing like open mic and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember like you were wearing like black shirts and all that stuff.
Yeah,
oh, yeah
I had to always wear that because that was the company or the restaurant's uniform.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
Well, those people who doesn't know about Jesse Allenhorn, right? Like I was thinking about it. So if you met like, for example, if you met your girlfriend's like parents for the first time, right? And then the parents ask you like, "What do you do? Who are you?" And then what would you say? Who is Jesse Allen?
I'd have to lie to him. I would be like, "No, my daughter's not dating a musician." I would basically say that I'm an independent contractor.
That's what you say?
Yeah.
You don't say you're a musician?
If they want to go into details,
right.
It kind of depends how involved the parents want to be.
Right.
Honestly, I haven't done that meeting in a long time. But I'm pretty open. I'm honest with them. Like, this is where I want to be today. This is where I want to be in 5 years. And, when they start kind of seeing the plan that I've written, they're a little bit more understanding. I'm no longer just kicking open a guitar case on the street and busking for change.
Right.
I put a plan together.
Oh, I went to your website. It's almost like June 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. So you're playing every day,
Yeah, it's a process, and it was something that me independently by myself, I was like, well, how do I make sure that I can generate the revenue that I need to have so I can live? How do I get my rent, my food, my insurance, everything like that? And I was like, well, I need to play such and such many shows a month. So basically at the beginning of every month, I'd just make a pot of coffee and I'd sit down and email.
Really? I was curious, how do you book the shows,
Yeah, and it's what you do. You just sit out there and you email them your website, your videos that you've made. That video you helped me make, that was a great video. That video led to a lot of things, opened up the world.
You went to a carnival after that, right?
I did.
So, how was that?
Carnival was fun.
Yeah.
Carnival was fast. Every day was a party. Every day was a party for the audience. I performed practically for 9 straight days. I would perform for 4 to 5 hours. Like
on the cruise ship, right?
Yeah. And then we had different stages on the ships. So depending on whoever your boss was, your music director, there was probably 40 entertainers, close to that, on every boat or every cruise ship. And the music director's job was to make sure that from the moment that people wake up on the boat, there's entertainment from the moment then they go to sleep. So between the 40 entertainers, they know that Jesse Allen's got 5 hours. So he's got to play.
You play 5 hours every day?
Well, it was, I did.
Wow.
You can take breaks.
Gotcha.
But I didn't want to lose my room. So I always managed to find a way to sneak in at least 3 to 4 hours of just solid playing without stopping.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that you have to memorize so many songs.
You can memorize them. Yeah, right. They let us have a tablet.
Oh, gotcha.
When I first joined, I think I only knew maybe 90, 100, maybe 100 songs that I could play by memory.
Yeah.
And then it was so funny because they called me from Miami. And they're like, hey, Jess, we like your video. We think that you're a perfect fit. And they're like, do you know anything about this red dirt country? And I was like, yeah, that's kind of strange that you guys are asking me about that. But they're like, well, we keep hiring these guys from Nashville and putting them on a Texas ship, and they don't know any of the red dirt, and it's upsetting some of the guests. And I was like, okay, well, if you want me to come out there and play covers and such, of some of my favorite artists, yeah, I'll join with you. And then they stuck me in Jacksonville, Florida, so nobody knew any of the songs except for there was some people that knew some of the underground or some of the guys from back home, but I wasn't doing so good.
What do you mean?
I wasn't keeping the attention of the audience.
Oh, gotcha.
In that room when I first started. So I was like, I got to change it up, because there's 1,000 other people that want the same position that I'm in.
Right.
So if I don't keep up with that or evolve, they'll ask you to go. Or, you get sent home. Somebody else will just take your spot.
Yeah.
So I would take a piece of paper and I would number it 1 to 15 at the beginning of every cruise. And guests would come up and they would write down their song and the artist, and I'd tell them I'd have their song learned by the end of their cruise. So I went from knowing like 100 songs to like 1,000 that I had charted.
1,000?
Yeah, well, pretty close to it, yeah. And every now and then you'd have accidents to where your tablet would fail.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, well, I got to go back to the old show, which is just everything that I memorized.
So did you like take a notes and then like what they like and then you play for what they like? Is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It is kind of trippy, after a certain amount of time, the requests start to kind of repeat.
Right.
Like, I don't know if you're tired of hearing the song. It's a great song, but like it got a little overplayed, but that Tennessee Whiskey, yeah. And I love that song, and
Right.
I'm not bad-mouthing anybody. Like,
Yeah.
I love Chris Stapleton and all that, and,
That's the first thing come up to your website, like on the top.
Is it really?
the
Somebody
Tennessee
recorded
Whiskey.
that? Yeah. It's really fun, like, to meet so many people from all over the world. It's an eye-opening experience. It's a very, I would say, culture shock is a good word.
I mean, I think that's great though. You did like a tailor to your music and tailor to your like a kind of clientele, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I get struggle sometime whenever we're in the creative field. You're a musician, I make videos and marketing, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of creative field because we don't want to work in those like a 9 to 5 and people tell us what to do.
Right.
But we doing the creative work, but ended up doing what other people want. You know what I mean? So that sometimes I get to struggle with like, well, where my passion project come from, or like, like how do you deal with like, is that still like the passion of yours, the music, or is that a job? Like where do you? Does that make sense?
That does. There are times where I can feel a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I get a little burnout to where I'll have to take a break, like a couple of weeks off just to get fresh again, But
well, you must be passionate about like you memorize 1,000 songs. You can't just do that with just solid, you know what I mean?
Well, I enjoy it.
Oh, awesome.
I think like that's a big part of it. Like being able to enjoy what you do and then finding different ways to project that enjoyment onto the crowd. See, like the evolution for me as an artist over the last 10 to 15 years was the shift from the idea of who I am and what I am doing on stage to the importance of the message that I've written and if my audience understands it and does it help them. It's very like, it's very, I can't even think of the word that I want to, it's the motivation behind it all pretty much. I just want to make sure that the content that I'm creating and I'm putting out there is a positive one and in the direction of where I want my music to head, my albums, everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, like whenever I listen to your music, even like, I was listening to JJ's or like, I see you around the town,
Yeah.
And then whenever I walk in, like, it's just vibe is different whenever you're playing the music other than like some other people's playing because like it's like more positive, like tempo. I mean, great, you have a great vocal anyways, but it's just kind of positive and then happy energy around the room. And then I think like, I don't know, whenever like I go out or whatever, it just like makes me happier and then like you elevate that happiness. I think that's something you're talking about, motivation and stuff. I think that's awesome things you do,
Thanks, man. Thank you. That's really awesome. Like that's what I want. I remember when I when I first started with the carnival, and that those first few months where I was not getting the most attention or anything like that, and I had to ask myself, I was like, what things can I change to make this more entertaining for the audience. And it's kind of when I came up with the idea that there's two forms of entertainment. You know, you have entertainers that play for attention, and then you have entertainers that play with intention. Huh. And I felt like at the beginning I was just playing for attention, and it kind of comes across a little like not desperate, but like, you know, and you don't want to come across like that. You want to have that good energy to where you're like, hey man, I worked really hard on this and I just want you all to enjoy your vacation. And then whenever I started kind of projecting that onto the audience, I started kind of gathering in more people, getting more emails and having conversations, like long distance conversations with people from all over the country. Hey, how are you doing? It's like 5-6 years later, you know, like what new ideas are you coming up with now? And then like just to catch up. And I love that. Like, it's like, I mean, somebody from South Carolina will reach out to me after a year and I'll remember them. Because like these audience members, these guests, they work 360 days of the year doing that 9-to-5 job just to pay for that 5 or 4 or 3 day vacation, you know? And for me, you know, day in, day out, it kind of becomes like Groundhog's Day, like the actual performance sometimes because you just do it so much. But to them, they're going to remember that vacation if they had a good time. They're going to remember you for the rest of their lives. And whenever they see your face or your name or something, and it's some kind of push for new content, new merchandise, anything like that, they're going to odds are back you up. And that was really cool, like understanding that. It kind of helped me write my plan that I'm using today.
What's the plan?
Plan is to release a concept album. That was the number one thing.
That Wonder.
Yeah, that's a part of it. The Wonder is one of my favorite songs. It's a positive song. It's an upbeat song. You would think that like where the placement of it is and the story, it's kind of got this dark gothic kind of vibe in the story. But this song is a character that's seeking refuge after, you know, a global shutdown. And he's like, all I want to do is play music. Where can I go to play music? And he becomes a wanderer, you know? And he's just like, well, you know what? I'm not at home, but I'm on my way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how the lyrics kind of tied into it. And I put like that train beat behind it to keep that boom, doom, 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 you know what I mean? Like that, get that movement. And basically it's just, you know, the lyrics are, they call me the wanderer. And from the stories I've heard, I played my own drum.
And then like that COVID, during the COVID is like inspire you to write that story, right?
The story.
Right.
I've written The Wanderer quite some time ago. I wrote it back, actually, whenever you were working at JJ's.
Damn.
Yeah.
That long ago?
That was that long ago, man. Yeah. And it was kind of funny how we started that out. It was like one of those things, like it was a group of us. And we're all just kind of sitting around in the living room. And I just pulled out the guitar and I was like, man, I want a song with a good train beat. And then I just kind of just went at it and wrote it in maybe 5-10 minutes.
Huh.
And you never know. Like sometimes like art just kind of hits you.
What is your typical writing process? Like, do you have a process or is that kind of come to you or?
Honestly, yeah. Yeah, I would say I can sit down and write a song. I like doing that. I feel like the more free, the less restraints, you know, the better the song is going to be. I also feel like the hook or the melody is really important. So most of the time I'll think of the melody first. And then as I hum the melody out, I'll find ways to work in the chord movements. And then I think about something that's recently happened or something that I would like to see happen. And Like Bodie.
Yeah, Hazel comes in and out. She's
I love this. I
she's
remember this.
free.
I remember when she was a puppy.
Yeah.
She's still a pup. But no, I feel like having that freedom, that with like no restraint, you know, I write more fun songs. So The Wanderer was always a song about basically just me being nomadic, traveling. I love to travel. You love to travel too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I see you travel all the time. Yeah, let's try this local beer for a second, right?
Sure.
It's have you heard it? Stone Cold Brewing Neon Sunshine.
I'm in.
I guess I'm gonna open it. You already drinking it. Cheers.
Salute, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
It is good.
It's pretty good. It's kind of light beer. It's kind of tastes like a Stella, maybe.
Yeah.
Is it?
Got that Belgian. Is that Belgian?
Belgian style wit.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm trying to put this like local beer. Somebody should sponsor me. But anyways, so like my question, like it was funny, like you were mentioning about Tennessee whiskey song, you know, overplay and all that stuff. But for me, it is very, very hard for me to memorize lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
I can just only say Tennessee whiskey.
Would you say it's harder to memorize the lyrics because it's a second language, or?
No, I don't think so. In Japanese song, I just suck at memorizing those songs, right? Like, is that like a talent you already had, or like do you like over and over and over and play the music? That's how you memorize. Like, what kind of advice you have to memorize the lyrics? You know,
My trick, and I use this even on the tablet, you know, I do rehearse, like I practice. That way I kind of get the idea, but I just need to see like the first word, or sometimes like just a few words. And then I just look back up and I'm back on it. And remembering the chord changes and key signatures and stuff like that. So I'll have something at the front that kind of gives me a little bit like segue, leads right into it.
right? I mean, like whenever you like, I go to the bar or whatever, you sing a song, right? Tennessee whiskey.
Yeah.
A lot of people singing along.
Right.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
You know, I can't.
Hey man, I forget the words too. So like I'll have them right in front of me and I still forget the words. Just make them up, you know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun. Like, and if you could play it off
Yeah.
and make a joke out of it,
Right.
like the audience is going to go right along with you. And odds are they'll probably sing the correct words whenever you do it. So.
That's true. Yeah, and then like also like you're talking about, you know, you book a show. It's interesting. You email to them.
Oh yeah.
Like how do you? I mean, like honestly, like a lot of people, I don't know, people like have a dream to like play music for a living, right?
Yeah.
And then like how do you price the show money? I guess.
That's a really complicated. It kind of just depends on where you're at and what kind of performance you're putting on. So basically, kind of what I'm doing around the city, like I'm not going to walk up to a venue and ask for so much money that, you know, they can't afford it. And the goal to playing at a venue like that is to reach out and connect with new people and drive them to your landing page so they can know or be aware that you exist, you know. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost like there is a sense of exposure to whenever you perform. But, you know, being in Oklahoma, and not just Oklahoma, but like there's a couple, like the smaller venues, they don't normally have the gear to set up your instruments and play. So a lot of us have to go buy our own gear. So that's kind of like the first part of the payment. So like you go out and you buy, you know, 2 QSC speakers, a mixer board, you know, cables, patch cables, pedals, everything. Like you get everything together. Odds are you're going to spend close to $8,000 to $10,000, and that's like on a small rig.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And a lot of musicians aren't going to have that starting out the gate. So if you get approved for a credit card, you know, yeah, you put it on credit.
Right.
So the first $100 will go to the payment on my gear because they've hired, you know, us to come out and perform. So they're kind of, if a venue actually has their own sound setup and everything, I don't have to bring my gear. I normally don't charge that gear price.
Got you.
So that's kind of the first thing. And then I like to guarantee musicians that play with me minimum 100. You can't, like these guys, they practice, they rehearse. Sometimes they'll look at a musician and they'll be like, "Oh, you just worked for 3 hours."
Right.
And I'm like, "No, man. Like we did 6 hours every day, rehearsing, practicing, all the way up until this moment." Say we're playing a show up in Tulsa. You got to load up the gear. You got to drive an hour. You got to unload the gear, set up. That's another hour. You play for 3 hours. Then you got to break it down. That's an hour. Then you got to drive back home. So it almost turns into a
a full day of work.
7-hour day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fun.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not even upset. But that's just kind of what goes into the production, like creating something, And so, you want to get paid for a full day's work.
Got you.
And I mean, waiting tables, if you had $100 day, and you'd worked a 12-hour shift, your feet are going to be tired, but you might make, you're going to make over a bill. You're going to make about $150, $200, sometimes $600, depending on what kind of night you had waiting tables.
Right.
But, and it changes up also when it comes to music, because you can have a heck of a night, man. And it's fun. Everybody has a great time, and, you make a memory for somebody, and it's going to attract them to come back and be a part of whatever next thing you create. So those are great nights. But sometimes, man, you play a show and there's 2 people in the audience and it's like your mom, and you never know, like, if I can get them to come out. But like, sometimes you have just 1, 2 people in the audience and you have their undivided attention, and I'll play just as hard for those few people as I would in front of 10,000 people.
Yeah.
I just, I'm trying to think of where I was going with that, because I was just like, I just had a show like that just recently, to where it was just super, super chill, super laid back, and I didn't stop. Like, they didn't want to leave. They liked all the music, and I just played solid 3 hours. It was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, do you like playing like same venue all the time, or like do you like going like state? Like I know you went to Texas a lot, right?
Yeah.
And then like you're like going to like different state. Like what where's your favorite venue?
I do enjoy performing in Texas quite a bit. Residencies are nice. Residencies, to me, I feel like if you are an artist that can keep a residency for longer than 2 years, you're doing something right. To play at the same venue over and over and over and over again, like, doesn't really matter how great.
What is residency anyways?
Residency is something that, like, as an artist, you work out an agreement with said venue, and you come back every week to perform at that. Like a lot of those open mics that we see, like the people that host open mics, they that's a residency. Like
a contract, like a retainer kind of deal.
Yeah, yeah. And they're like, and it's like, it's just like as an independent contractor, they're like, hey, you host really well. We would like you to come back out every week and continue to host.
So that's what you going to do in Texas, or
no?
Doing it?
No, I mean that'd be nice.
Yeah,
that would be cool. So I saw a good friend of mine about a week ago, very business savvy comedian. His name's William Lee Martin out of Fort Worth, and he had some great advice. He goes, he's about, I would say, mid to early 50s. He's been doing this for almost 25, 30 years as well, as a comedian. And he said, well, I got into the business to tell jokes and do comedy. And he goes, I realized that I was in the wrong business. And he goes, now I'm in the ticket selling business, which is very interesting because, I love making music and everything, but how do we get our music heard? How does he get his jokes heard? Well, we have to sell those tickets so we can put people in that room, and then kind of just let people know that we exist. And to sell a ticket and to make music, it's two different sides of the business. To do the production of a show is a lot different than putting that show on the movie screen and making sure people know that movie exists.
Yeah.
It's like selling tickets. So I would like to play theaters. And that's kind of where I see myself going in the next 3 to 5 years.
What theater? Like a concert? Like that kind of vibe, or?
I would love to do that. Like, I'm looking in the direction of 700 to 1,200 seaters, to where you can have a pretty good little audience. You can still remain intimate and have 1v1, like one direct conversations with people. Like you go out and you play a show and there's 25,000 people. It's going to be a little blurry. Like you're going to see some characters and enjoy what you're doing. And there is a rush that you get whenever you play in front of that many people. But you can get that same rush whenever, somebody understands your message. Somebody listens to your song every day, and they come up to you and they're just like super, super awesome. And yeah, it's motivating. It kind of like, you get this adrenaline. So, and I like doing the intimate shows, like the 700 to 1,200. And that's kind of the goal I'd like to do. And Texas has those theaters. We have a few of them here in Oklahoma.
Like, which ones?
Oh, like Tower Theater.
Oh, Tower Theater.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
It's a good venue. Yeah.
They've been having some good people. I think the Criterion.
Yeah.
It's a good theater. We just had Billy Strings.
Yeah.
That would have been a fun show. I was busy that night, but like that guy, that's a fun concert.
Yeah, for sure. That
especially for all the bluegrass fans.
You go to those music festivals, bluegrass festivals and stuff?
I get some time. It's been a really crazy. We've had a great season this year. We were playing anywhere from 4 to 5 shows a week, all the way up until next week. So I'm looking forward to November, December, from going from 18 to 20 shows a month to, man, like, let me just chill out and take that break that we were talking about, so I can refresh my my motivation to get out there and write more. I got a whole lot of stuff that I want to write.
That's good. I mean, sorry we asked the podcast in a busy time,
No.
Thanks for coming, though. But honestly, I wanted to ask you that, I think the people like I meet all the time that they are going to like an open mic or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they are trying to start music career, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what advice do you give them?
For an open micer?
Or like somebody who wants to like make a career out of it?
I think open mics are a great opportunity to talk to the head of the venue and kind of see what they're looking for. And if you are an artist that can deliver that, and then kind of throw in a correct price for whatever said venue you're at, I think that's a great foot in the door.
Is that how you find an email? Like you ask the owner, say, hey, give me your email address?
I'll be like, do you have a card?
Oh, okay.
I'll be like, because odds are if they have an email address, it's going to be on that card. Or can I find your contact information on your website? And then they'll tell you and they'll direct you to it. And most of the time, that person that you ask that question to, that gets passed along. Like they're like, hey, somebody asked for your card today. You might be getting an email. You know? And to set up the website, that was the biggest thing. Because it's almost like a business card in itself. People want to know what your accolades are, what your accomplishments are, who you are.
Yeah.
What do you have planned for us to see in the next 5 to 10 years? Are you somebody that's going to grow and consistently deliver what you promised? Or are you just somebody that's getting kind of pushed, along the wayside by somebody that is vicariously living through you? It's the music world is a very saturated world right now, especially with streaming services and everything, which is fine. Like, you just have to be somebody who thinks of a different way to project your content. Have you heard of the, what is it? It's basically a phrase, like, have you ever heard of, like, the red ocean and the blue ocean when it comes to, like, marketing?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So I thought this was really cool. Kind of a little metaphor, like, as a business person, like, if you're in a very red ocean, you're in a very competitive field. And they say red ocean because you're swimming with sharks.
Oh, I see. It's
And
bloody.
it's, But if you're an innovator that comes out in the blue ocean, you're somebody that has thought of something that a lot of people haven't picked up on yet. And you're kind of free to make, new content. You can make mistakes and bounce back, and people can learn from those and then kind of create their own thing. Eventually, if whatever you make is successful, you're going to start leading people to you, and you just kind of want to be the one that gets in there, gets it done,
Right.
capitalizes on it, and, make some profit and get out,
Right.
Or think of something new.
Yeah. I mean, I believe in that stuff in the red ocean or blue ocean. I mean, honestly, I do believe in more so of like anything is gonna be okay or you're gonna be successful if you're very consistent at it. I think it just that's kind of what I keep telling myself. Let's say I do this podcast deal, right? And then I had a guest yesterday, I had a guest today. And then if I just say, well, I suck at it or whatever. And then I will never know, right? But if there's a lot of a podcasts out there, I listen to or I don't listen to, but they are successful because they're consistent, right? And then another business and all that kind of stuff. I think you're right. It's like if you playing on the cruise and all that kind of stuff. But if you kept going, you're consistent about every night you're doing and taking your notes and all that kind of stuff. You're consistent. That's why you became successful. So I think, a lot of people say about there is a too many competition. There's too late to start this business or whatever. I think you can outwork people. You can
You can
win with consistency. Not really you don't really have to have talent too much.
Right.
But it's kind of it's nice to have a talent. But even though if you have a talent, but if you don't work consistently, if you don't have a discipline,
right,
and even though you have a motivation, then you don't have a discipline, then it's a trash,
I 100% agree with you. Yeah. It's really interesting you brought that up too, because one, with the motivation and the discipline, I can relate that to a gym membership.
Yeah.
When you first buy that gym membership, you're motivated.
Yeah.
Man, I want to go to the gym every day. I feel so good and everything. And, after your first 4 weeks or whatnot, you're waking up. You're like, it's early. I want to sleep in. And that's when that breaking point.
Yeah.
That's when you decide, am I going to be motivated to get up there and go do it?
Yeah.
Or am I disciplined to get up and go to that gym because I don't want to be there?
Right.
But I know it's going to help me in the end. And yeah, I agree with the consistency as well, because I came up with I believe that there is 4 qualities as an entrepreneur or somebody that wants to come up with new ideas and be putting out whatever content that they want into the ethos that you need as an individual to be successful. And consistency is one of them. Character, competence, people need to rely on you, and then empathy. And it's kind of strange how in the entertainment industry we can see empathy go straight out that window pretty quick.
What do you mean?
Oh man, I mean, that's where you start figuring it out, people who are authentic and that they're not going to BS you, you know. Transparency, you know, we got to see a little bit of everything. If you want to like start a business with somebody else and everything like that, there needs to be some transparency. And a lot of times, people get so burnt out that they lack that empathetic, that emotion that they probably started out with, but they're just kind of just like, I don't care about the feelings anymore. I just want to get this done and get this done and get this done. And I think empathy and in the entertainment industry is like the first one to go out the window.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to kind of like, this is what the whole story that I wrote, it's about. This whole album, this concept is each song is going to lead into the next song, and it's about my character that I wrote discovering empathy because he lost it along the way. And how three guardians are going to come down, one that represents character, one that represents competence, and one that represents consistency, tries to drive our main character by using music to discover empathy again.
Huh. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah.
That, you know, honestly, like I have right now, I'm working on 30 days hill sprint challenge.
Okay, I was
just on that things right before I came to this podcast. So my friend, and he's a great MMA fighter, Zevin Hunt.
Yeah. And
he's like, I found a hill. Let's go run, right? Like, what hill? In Oklahoma, right? And then went to a hill in Arcadia, and there's a steep hill. And it just didn't look that bad as you run, right? You run like 35 seconds or whatever, like uphill. Like you go 100%. It's just like your heart is pounding.
Yeah.
And we just do it like 10 times. And then like, you want to quit like 5 times, 5 reps. I'm like, you want to quit. But everybody else is doing it.
Right.
I might as well doing it. And then he goes like, Yosuke, let's do this 30 days straight. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, I'm like, he's like, well, we can do it. We're going to get in shape. Imagine how strong we're going to be.
Right.
Like how much good shape we're going to be if we do a hill sprint. And then another guy who is a champion of that Rage in the Cage, he's a wrestler named Chase King, right?
Yeah.
He's like, well, the guy who won the Olympia wrestling from WWE or whatever, he said he dedicated his success to hill sprint. I was like, I guess I should. And then Zevin always talks about like a burn the ship mentality. It's like some like soldier or whatever get on the ship, and then they try to like swim across to the island, and then they burn the ship. So like they can't go back.
They can't go back. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Right?
Yeah.
So like that mentality of the burning a ship. So like for me, I just decided like I need to do like if I make the challenge, I just need to tell myself that okay, failure is not option. I said like 30 days hill sprint, I'm gonna do it. So like last night it's kind of cold after like a jiu-jitsu practice. Me and Devin look at each other and like, well, we have to still do this.
Yeah.
And then we had like a phone flashlight, and we just like go to a dark and we run the hill sprint. And he was doing like 15 reps, and I did like 10 or whatever. And then I just like I think that's just a mentality. A lot of people say, well, it's cold, it's dark, it's too late. You should do it tomorrow.
Right.
That's like you're giving yourself an excuse. Also, like you're like not disciplined enough.
Right.
Then if I think about it, well, my mind goes like, oh, it's 8 o'clock. I have 4 hours to finish this, task. So I just went there and then no thinking about quitting,
Yeah.
I think that mentality helped me the most to do anything. It's kind of like, it's hard for me to get there though. It's hard for me to say, well, no, failure is an option. I have to say it, but I just was making so much excuses. Like, I'm not gonna do this. No, this is crazy. But like, whenever I was day 2 or day 3, and yesterday I went like that night, I'm like, well, this is the burning a ship mentality. I'm gonna do this.
Right.
So that's what I was doing. I was like, that's a good excuse for me to be late on the
I
podcast.
love it. Yeah. You think about it like 5 years ago, Yosuke. Like, do you feel like you'd have had that discipline?
No, I don't
And
think so.
you have this like, it's almost like, it's like we're maturing and like we're starting to recognize what we necessarily have to put, like what weights we have to put on ourselves,
Right.
to make sure that we stay focused on whatever objective or mission that we've created.
Yeah.
And like, so I love that. So I can already see the growth.
Well, thanks,
And
man.
yeah, I think that's great, man. What gym are you working out at for MMA?
Oh, right now I'm going to New Limits for Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And then Jiu-Jitsu for Forge Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
I currently got into Jiu-Jitsu. I've been doing the Jiu-Jitsu like off and on, but like I've been like taking it seriously.
Yeah.
I love Jiu-Jitsu. Probably you will love it. Like the reason I love Jiu-Jitsu is kind of almost like a puzzle. It's almost like it's almost a chess. I love playing chess. It's like every move you have like defense move. Like if you're like trying to like choke people,
Yeah.
there's a defense to like go attack other people. But that if that defense has another defense, it's just endless possibility.
It's like sticky hands.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like I will sometimes I don't know those endless possibility, and then my coach or whoever teach me, it's so simple.
Right.
It was like right there. I didn't see it. So like every time I go practice, I learn new move. Oh, this works. This works. It's like not. It's physical for sure.
Yeah.
I did a heart rate monitor, like exercise challenge, and I made a YouTube video about it. But it's like you burn like 15 minutes of rolling, like 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. You burn almost like 650 calories.
Yeah.
I was on the stairs masters for like an hour, and you burn as much as calories. So like it's a great physical exercise, but you do so much like intensity, but it's all mental, and it's very, I would say very intellectual sports, I would say.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I love going jiu-jitsu. I mean, I think you will love it too.
I miss training. It's
Yeah.
been too long since I've been
Yeah.
back in the gym. And it's always kind of cool to be in a studio or a dojo or a gym with multiple people that kind of want to have that epiphany moment. You know what I mean? Figuring it out together and then just practicing over and over and over and over again
Yeah.
to where you've mastered a technique and you're ready to move on to the next one.
Right.
And you form almost like a brotherhood, a sisterhood kind of thing with like people that you work out with.
Right.
And they motivate you to be at that gym every week.
The
you know?
same thing as playing music too, right?
Oh man.
Like playing guitar, like
Yeah.
how many people quit guitar lesson? Maybe I'm one of them. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny? You bring that up. I kind of figured out that most musicians, I would say like not all of them, but I would say a lot, like a majority of them. The reason that they quit performing is because they feel like they have a lack of progression.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they might be, winning out there. They might be crushing it, killing it, And, but inside, if they're kind of always isolated and alone, that anxiety can like break them down. And then they just don't want to play anymore, write anymore. They want to separate themselves. And because of that feeling of lack of progress, they just leave.
Yeah, I heard that
or they quit.
Quote the other day about progress equals happiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's true. I mean, I'm a very goal-oriented person, so
You are.
I need a progress.
Yeah.
Rather than that, I'm like, I'm gonna go with depression. I know for a fact I have been.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do to? How do you progress music? You know what I mean?
It's a great question. I love that. Yes. I figured, so we statistically, like, to be discovered and reach some kind of unimaginable height in the entertainment industry is almost like astronomical.
Right.
Like, but there are ways to be met in the middle and to increase like that idea of progress. I just focus on 3 to 5 things every single day. That's it. And it can be the smallest thing or it can be a large leap in a direction that you want to head. But 3 to 5 things every single day that focus on your objective, your vision, like where you want to see your brand in 10, 15, 20 years, and how you want to, just basically accomplish everything as you continue on your journey. It's so like 3 to 5 things, as in sending an email. That's one thing. Like, okay, I got up today. I sent an email out, and it could be for a gig or to ask to do an article or something, Another thing would be like, I'm going to write a song, and it might not even be a great song, but it was something that you sat down to and could potentially lead into a great song. You'd be like, well, I liked what I did here. I didn't like how it evolved. So you just cut that out, but you use that, and then you just start making more music. And then what's another one? Buying a new guitar cable or a patch cable, but you do 3 things as an artist to continue striving for that success.
To the goal and progress, yeah. It's like I'm playing guitar, and like I think
it's frustrating.
But also, but you can get better too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, who is like best guitarist?
Oh wow, that's so hard to. That's really hard to answer. It kind of depends on like what style you like. Because if you're a rocker and you like metal, you're going to be into really syncopated guitar solos. Very strategic, very like precise, fast. It's cool. Like, it's fun to watch.
Right.
And it's very entertaining. And those guys are really cool. In the country music, country can be syncopated, but like, like you listen to the old chicken picking acoustic guitar playing stuff, there's a lot of practice that goes into that. A lot of muscle memorizations and stuff like that. And that's where, like, I guess that could be where it's a little frustrating. Like, sometimes people just pick it up and they just get it. Like, you're like, oh man, like, they didn't have to practice really anything at all.
Right.
Sometimes people can evolve and become that great on guitar just because they practiced every day. And your hand kind of just knows where to go. And that muscle memory kicks into gear. The other thing would just be like, sometimes injuries can lead to not being able to play the way you want to play. So you find different ways to play whatever song you want to play.
Huh.
But it is frustrating. I was frustrated when I first started playing, like, especially I remember bar chords. And everybody always complains, they're not hard for me now. But starting out, I was little, man. I think I weighed like 98 pounds. I was like 5'5". I was like trying to reach up. I couldn't even pull the guitar off the wall,
What got you like over the hump, I guess? Like, you get frustrated, like, what made you, you can't play guitar, you know what I mean?
I think it was just me. I was like, I don't like not being able to do something.
Yeah.
So I would tape like my finger down.
Oh.
Yeah. Or like if there was a stretch, which is, I don't recommend this, don't ever do it, but like I would stretch my fingers. Like so I could make sure I could hit all the notes, and I would just sit there.
Damn.
Yeah. And because I knew I wanted to do like a big long stretch on the guitar neck.
Huh.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Like, honestly, like, about the progress though, like, whenever I interview people to work for me or whatever, I ask them like, who is like your dream graphic designer, or like whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then they say some names. Like, I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
And then, okay, let me say that graphic designer is scale 0 to 100. He's 100. Where do you see yourself? I asked that to the person I'm interviewing.
Yeah.
And then they say, some people say like, oh, I'm 90. I'll never hire those people. But like, it's like they say like 20 or 30 or 50 or whatever, right? Like,
yeah.
Because they're like imagine like they're like God or whatever for the graphic designer, and you can't, value yourself a 90 or whatever. Maybe they could, but they probably not want to try to work for me,
Right.
But so I asked them like, what will make you to be 100, right? So like then they will just start thinking about that. They will start doing stuff like that. So that's kind of what I try to do with anything to, like it sounds like it's crazy thing, right? Like try to be like world's best guitarist.
Yeah.
But you have in your head, or like I have like, who is like a best jiu-jitsu person?
Right.
Right? And then like, I'm like, like I'm like one.
Right. I love this approach. This is a good
yeah.
one.
They're like, what do I have to do? And then like, okay, he probably practice.
Yeah.
Like every day. Maybe I should do that.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe like I should know the basic. Okay, I can be like 10,
Right.
So like I can see the progress, and I see that like a very short term goals, and then like I have an execution. And then also like yesterday, the guy who was sitting across the stuff, like whenever people starts, it starts with the execution. Whenever people get good at, it goes to strategy. And then the last stage is the mindset. I thought that was very good saying.
I like that too.
So I'm like a jiu-jitsu and all that kind of stuff. It's my execution stage. Because like I'm white belt, I don't know much stuff. I kind of know stuff, but not like a black belt, right?
Yeah.
And then I feel bad going to black belt. Like they're just like, this is not even practice,
Right.
So what can I do then? So instead of being like defeated about like I'm being white belt, I just look at it like I love that what you're saying is like 3 or 5 things to focus on. It's kind of same concept, but I'm just comparing to somebody who is not achievable, but I can see myself get there someday.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel happier I know I will progress, So it's not going to be too much for me to put my time to do hard work, I guess. That's kind of what I
Well, like don't you feel like whenever you set some insanely high goal and then you actually achieve it, isn't it like, and you put in all that work and you build up your team and you accomplish that goal, isn't that like the most rewarding thing?
I would say so, but I do have a different mindset, different answer to that. Honestly, it's funny to me whenever I was Burbank, right?
Yes.
We met like that was 10 years ago almost.
Yep.
And then I was working film industry. I was intern. I was doing stuff. I had a 7D camera.
Yeah.
I didn't even have money. So
I remember we were both broke as a joke. I remember that.
I remember like a bank account went negative so many times. But anyway, so the guy who I was working for whole summer for feature film, right? The guy liked me. I was working hard. So he gave me the 7D camera. And then because I was greedy, so I was like, can I have a lens too? So I got a lens too.
Yeah, that's nice.
So then that's a 50 millimeter. I don't think we're using it now. But so I got the 50 millimeter lens and the 7D. And then I was imagining that, back then 5D Mark III was like a big thing. Like everybody had it. That was like probably like $5,000 back then. Right now, maybe like $500. I don't know.
Wow, crazy.
The camera gets like so cheaper, and like a new things comes out, whatever. But like I remember that day I was looking at I was in the back seat of somebody who had a 5D Mark III. We were working on the film set, right? And then I was like, man, next 5 years. I want to save up money to buy this camera, 5D Mark III, right?
Yeah.
And then that was my biggest, like, kind of like career goal as like a cinematographer, videographer, whatever you call. And then I think 3 years from that day, I think I bought a C300 Mark II.
Yeah.
Which cost $15,000, back then.
Yeah.
Now it's probably worth $2,500 or whatever. But we're using for podcasts,
Do you remember when you built your first green room?
Green room?
Remember? Oh, yeah, you had like, and we did like a little party at one of your first studios. And it was so cool. I think we took a couple of photos there. You had
Really?
just built it. And it
Really?
was like, it wasn't the room. Well, it was a very
Was
tall.
that like a tall, the second floor of the flower shop?
I think so.
Oh, okay, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember like, I was like crazy proud of you because I like knew how much work you had put into it.
Right.
But dude, it looked so good.
Oh,
And
thanks.
yeah, and I mean, and just from that, like the early stages of like you building up your business and your company and how you've grown, like to where like you're so organized and disciplined.
I'm not organized.
You say that, but I mean, I didn't start making spreadsheets until like 2 years ago,
Wow.
which was not smart. I should have been doing that a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it really helps out, and to see how you had picked up on that at such a like 10 years ago, and like you knew exactly what you wanted,
Yeah.
and that's what was so cool.
Kind of like it's funny. It's like I did know what I wanted, but now it's kind of like what to answer your kind of question. When you achieve it, it's like I enjoy every moment of that journey.
Right.
It's just up and down, of course.
Yeah.
And then now, like it's kind of like a lot of people that ask me like, how do you feel or whatever. But honestly, I want a new goal. But like it's not about the goal for me. It's kind of like, what can I prove myself?
What's the next thing?
Yeah, not next thing, but also like I can continuously better. Like it's just like small win, like you're saying 3 to 5 things every day. I think if I'm just disciplined enough, if I'm just doing it consistently, that's why I'm like excited
Right.
about this YouTube journey
Yeah.
and podcast journey, and then meeting people and then getting inspired by. And I think it's awesome that you do music and all that stuff, and they have like all that album and stories and all that kind of stuff. I think it's a great thing to hear.
It's about a 10 to 15 year project just for this one project. I have multiple things that I want to do. I think I'm planning on about 42 songs just for this story. We're starting off with just the first 12. But like, I wrote quite a bit when I was on those cruise ships. I had a lot of time to kind of sit there and do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I lived on those things for
Right.
like dang near 3.5 years, And I mean, I was using it to pay off student loans and to save up to come back to college. And it helped me out in that way. And I think like anybody as a musician that wants to kind of see that side of profits and always being around an audience, I think it's a learning experience. I think that a lot of musicians should try it just for one contract, just to see if they like being a contracted musician, And I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to be on a cruise ship to be successful, but you are going to get put through the gambit, and you're going to figure out really quick if you can keep up with the demand that your audience wants.
Builds the character, I bet.
It does build character. It does, man. I think that, I wanted to talk to you about one of the things that you were just bringing up. Oh, it slipped my mind. I'm sorry.
Well, if you remember, but I got a question for you that,
Sure.
So I'm kind of asking a lot of people that, that I want to ask every guest. What advice you give 5 years ago yourself?
Ooh. Man, I guess that's right whenever I first got home, too, wasn't it? Close to it.
Yeah.
Advice to give to myself 5 years ago. I don't know. I was going to say, man, I can't even. Because about 5 years ago is whenever I first sat down and started writing the business plan. I would think, like, if I was to go back 10 years ago, I would have started reading more entrepreneurial books, because I didn't realize the separation between the actual business of music and the creation of music.
Gotcha.
So there's an amazing amount of talent out there in the world. Like, and I remember you even kind of said that earlier. It's like, it doesn't really matter. Like, you can not be the greatest musician, you know, but if you're an expert on marketing, distribution, you know, putting asses into seats. Sorry, I don't know if you can cuss on it, but
Oh, it's all good.
yeah. But, like, you know, the more that people know your name and the more that you tie that into, like, hopefully a positive, because you do have people that can come out there and be a little, you know, what's the word, infamous? Get like a bad rep, but they still get publicity and stuff. But either way, if I knew more about the business side of it, how to collect emails, how to build the website, you know, we live now in this do-it-yourself kind of reality, which is pretty cool, because we can go get the tools ourselves and build whatever company we want, no matter how big you want it, you know. But I just never really understood that business side growing up, you know. I would love, like, that's why I loved hanging out with you, because, you know, back in the early stages, you were like, I'm going to do this. And I was like, man, I didn't even think of that. And you're like, yo, I'm going to go do this. And then you would leave out next week, and then you come back and be like, guess what I did? And then I was like, that's pretty awesome. Like, and I always thought that was amazing. And you want to surround yourself with people that have that kind of energy. Because, you know, you surround yourself with negative energy all the time, or people who just aren't motivated to get up and do whatever project that you're working on, you're going to feel like you lack progress. And then you're going to feel like, well, this is it. I want to quit now. So, like, those moments scare me. And that's kind of one of those times whenever I have to step back and do my thing and get readjusted to my motivation again. But 5 years ago, I wish I would have surrounded myself with more entrepreneurial mindsets. I do that now, but I didn't know how important it was back then.
That's a great advice.
Yeah.
How do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years from now? Man, I see myself being able to produce my own content, engage my audience even faster, and kind of keep this intimate relationship between audience member and musician closer. I see a business. I see a successful company. I see a lot of music being made. I see possible movies, screenwritings. I see video games. Like, me dabbling more into the publishing side of music and entertainment, understanding copyrights, getting deeper into the actual business of music, and seeing how much I can keep independently on my own while still using the tools that are created to make it available to the world. Like, so 5 years from now, I just see a more organized music business with Jesse Allen as the brand.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Hopefully everything will.
You never know.
I believe it's gonna come true, you know. And then the reason I'm asking what you give yourself 5 years ago, and then like 5 years now, it's always been dream of mine to make a book. But I'm not a good writer. I know myself. But I can write a book without writing a book.
Right.
Meaning, I have an idea of that. Take a picture and then take some sort of image now, and then people will talk about what you want to do yourself in 5 years, right?
Right.
And then we just go to 5 years. We take a picture, and then we tell them this is what you said 5 years ago, right? And then you tell them, say, what do you tell yourself 5 years ago, from 5 years ago, 5 years later, right? And then I want to make a coffee book. So whenever I'm doing podcasts, like the Be Frank podcast, and then I was like, man, this is a perfect timing. I'm talking to everybody. Maybe they don't have to write that now. I'm just getting the form of writing verbally. We just write it out, and then 5 years later, we just invite and then say, we send a letter or whatever, send me your stuff. Let me put the book for you on the coffee table, and then I'll have a coffee table book. That's my plan.
That's awesome. That's a cool way to do it too, man. You know, and that's like one of those things that can just grow.
Yeah.
There's never going to be like you'll probably reach the first book, the first volume, and you're like, all right, I'm ready for volume 2.
Right. I mean, like I would love it. I mean, honestly, it's interesting to me, and that's what my guess is gonna be focused on, is that like that I do believe that people I invite in the guests here is that people who are achievers, people who are driven to do what they say. You know, it's hard to meet people like you said, you know, surround yourself with is the people who say what they're gonna do or whatever, right? And then I think that, you know, it was so cool to me when you told me about that, you know, cruise ship. Hey, shoot me a video. I'm like, all right, I'll shoot you a video.
Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I think I had $300 to my name.
Yeah.
And I was like, Yosuke, you know, my roommate is moving to Florida.
Yeah.
I think Nona's had just closed down, so then I went my waiting tables job. And I didn't have anywhere to go. Again, I was going to be back out on my own, doing the truck, living in the truck kind of thing, just until I could find another safe place to land.
Right.
And then I was like kind of telling you about that. And you're like, well, what do you need? I was like, man, I need a video.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to put something together. And you're like, all right. And I was like, here's all I got left. And I gave you like my last $300.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was the 4th of July.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we went to, it was a moonshine party.
Yeah, we went to some like south side of Oklahoma City.
It was like way up north. That's what it was. We went to the south side to do the a couple of other performances.
Yeah.
Like an open mic thing.
Yeah.
But we did most of the filming up in like North Oklahoma.
Like some
City.
like a private party or something.
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, Yosuke, you ever had moonshine?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that was a good night, you know.
That was fun, man. I was like, bring the tripod. Because the thing.
Yeah, and then like I sent that video to you, and then like it just like you were like off to the sea, and then like I thought that was awesome thing, you know.
Yeah, thank you. Like that helped me out a lot.
Oh no worries. I mean, I'm happy to do it. But do you have any question for me or?
So, I love this. Just Be Frank. And now I kind of see more like what the mission is, like why you're doing it. And I think that's really cool. It's inspirational. You know what I mean? And maybe you never know. Somebody out there could be watching, and some kid that's like, you know what? I want to be a movie producer, or I want to be a writer, or I want to be a singer-songwriter, you know? And maybe they could take something from your show and tie that into some kind of, you know, motivation for them to achieve whatever goals they have. Question for you. I did think of a good one the other day. Well, maybe I wrote it down. I did write it down. Because
those flip phone, you like those?
I think it's perfect for what I'm doing. Like, you know what I mean? It does have that little crease in there, which kind of drives me a little crazy. But like, I basically just use it to set up my mixer, and then I put it back in my pocket. Okay. So, what future projects do you see yourself being a part of?
Future project.
Mm-hmm. Are you working on anything like that's just really awesome, like a really cool contract that you have coming up here?
I have a couple projects.
That you can talk about. I don't know, like sometimes you get the confidentiality.
I have some 420 events. We want to throw like 3-day camp festival stuff. You know, we're hoping to get big name, you know.
Is that here local? Like here we're going to be in the city?
It's going to be in Tahlequah or Sapulpa. It's going to be biggest event we've thrown. Like we throw the Whalers event last summer.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I'm working on that stuff. And then advertising wise, that we are implementing to a lot of clients, that content strategy side of things. The new way, I think that a lot of marketing strategy have changed. And then we've been implementing that, and then like we're rolling out to every client. That's kind of exciting. For YouTube, I'm focusing on this podcast. Also that, you know, my YouTube journey. I mean, doing a 30-day challenge. Also, I'm trying to fight some point next year.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I want to be there. I'm definitely going to be there. What do you think though, like these YouTube shorts?
Great.
You like them?
What do you mean?
I mean, I see some content creators on YouTube, like they do them.
Yeah.
But I always notice that they're like, I don't know if I necessarily like doing them. And I was just like, well, you're kind of tapping into a new audience. You know what I mean? Because isn't that kind of what it's focused on?
Yeah,
like people who've never seen.
Kind of like how I see YouTube Shorts is that, or like maybe like I changed my mindset lately, is that I always thought about like, you know, TikTok and stuff, you know, like short video stuff. It's kind of gonna phase out, but it's not gonna phase out. But YouTube is the only platform that kind of like you have a long form content, and then you have a short form content, and then I think they're gonna figure it out how they're gonna separate two, so for the audience. But at the same time, for me, like myself, to tap into YouTube to be like a creator, monetization, and like start making money is like hard to get find, right?
Right.
But for me, it's great to have the shorts because some sort of algorithm, like I posted some stupid push-up video.
I saw that one.
I got 5,000 views.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, then like I got hated comment. I love the hated comment. It's like, man, I made a YouTube. You know what I mean?
Right.
People talk about like, well, my poses are wrong. You know, I don't know. I want to see that what's right. But anyways.
The expert push-up.
But I think it's just like the same things about, you know, adaptation to YouTube have a shorts too.
Trying to keep up.
Everybody has a shorts too. So that as a creator, also as a marketer, you can't fight the battle.
Yeah.
To not do it.
That's totally true.
Right? So like, is that the hill to die on, to like not make a short content because I love long short content?
Yeah.
And you're not gonna be successful just because of your
refuse to evolve,
stupid ego, you know? So that's kind of my take on the shorts. I mean, but I'm kind of having fun with it, you know? You gotta make something out of it and the enjoyment out of it. And then I like making some great content and all that kind of stuff, but you know, some stupid funny video, you know, that's part of the reason I want to start the YouTube is like, don't take life too seriously. Have fun, you know, making stuff and then doing stuff. So shorts being great, and then also like podcasts, I'm gonna cut it out in shorts. It's not gonna, you know, I mean, thanks Stage to making the shorts, but you know, so that's easy for me. So
well, I think so. Say like as a client that comes up to you and asks for like marketing help and content creation and everything. Would you say that the shorts would fall more so on the client to do it themselves, or would that be something that would be tied into your company?
Not necessary. So like right now, it's a big thing is a thought leader, making yourself as an expert, right?
Right.
So either you can be entertainment, or you can give people a value as education, and then you have to have a consistency. That's like a 3 key to be a successful content strategy.
Right.
So if the clients is funny, maybe we'll put it. Like sometimes it's hard to find a funny clients. I mean, maybe I should say that.
You're like, yeah, I know what you mean though. Yeah.
But like it's like like it's not really like comedians, right?
Right.
But also educational posts and all that kind of stuff. They can do it, but like for my clients, they pay us for us to do it, and then they don't have to worry about it. They save time, so they can focus on business, so that we can grow their business to do that kind of stuff, right? So sometimes we make short form of content, and then like decades ago, 10 years ago, the blog was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
But now it's still blog is useful. The reason I'm saying is that you can write the blog for the SEO content, and then each paragraph you can make a shorts.
Yeah.
Just talk to the camera. Like you can tell client, like say, hey, read this to the camera. If you don't want to do that, then we hire actor for you, and then we have a spokesperson, and we have stuff so your brand looks like, but the brand will have a thought leader and an expert, and then you giving people a value, right?
Right.
It's not, the marketing is not any longer just, speaking too loud. Like, like I just tell client all the time, like elephant.
Yeah.
What animal are you thinking?
Yeah.
Probably penguin?
Yeah,
No,
I was
elephant,
like,
right?
Yeah, I was trying to be funny. I was like,
But like, so that's not anymore, because there is so many options, choices, and there's so many loud voices, right? What everybody's looking for is something out of it. What can I get it for me? So that comes out to a value. Value could be educational or motivational or entertainment. So to answer your question, if your client can't do that, that's great. But if not, then they may let us do it.
right.
So if that makes sense?
That does make sense. That's pretty cool. Like, plus that breakdown too, like, how there's 2 kinds of entertainment, guys, people that entertain for attention, and then there's people who entertain with intention.
Intention, yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think that and there's nothing wrong with either one. You know what I mean? Like as an artist or as a musician or anybody, as a painter, any kind of artistic impression, like if you're at a theme park and you got the people that draw the caricatures, or, there's really, the couple will sit down in front of you.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he draws it really fast and everything. It's not negating the fact that the person is, at a specific level of artistry. It's the fact that like you just sat down and this guy kind of took the key elements of whatever he's seeing in front of him, or he or she is seeing in front of him, and draws it really fast.
Yeah.
And it's entertaining, but it doesn't negate the fact that that same artist can't take like a paint bucket and do a whole mural on the side of a building.
Yeah.
Or be the next like Van Gogh.
Right.
So it's like you have like artists that are entertaining and play for attention.
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. It's just how you get your content and your message across.
Yeah. Also, like, same thing goes back to if you're making progress.
Right.
It's happiness. And if your brand or if you're marketing, it's getting better 1% every day, then you're going the right directions. If you're going to not good, then not good. It's simple as that.
I just thought, so can we go back to a question you asked earlier?
Sure.
So the one you said, 5 years ago, what do you wish you could have done? I wish I would have set up my Roth IRA account. You know what I mean? Or set up some form of retirement.
Right.
especially being independent.
Right.
So any musicians or anybody artist-wise out there, figure out how much money you're pulling in a month, and then figure out what you need to live on, what you need to be comfortable, and then set up your retirement plan. And I think like the Roth IRAs, $6,000 a year. Yeah. So
compound.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And that's kind of what I met this Elvis impersonator down in Texas. Have I told you this story ever in the past? And I did not want to go to this show. I was dating a girl down there, and her family had bought us tickets, like 3 tickets. And we went in, and it was packed. It was a small little theater in Arlington. I think like 70 people, But these were like $30 tickets. So he was like making $2,100 a night. He sold it out for 3 nights. And I was like, this is interesting. I'd like to talk to this guy. He was a little older, He was like 55. And so I was like, hey, man, like, great show. He walked out. He put on a great Elvis thing, but he didn't have his guitar plugged in. He was singing the tracks. He just he had built up this demographic of people who just enjoyed him, what he represented, and what he was all about. And I had to ask him, I was like, man, when did you start this? And he was like, early 30s. He was, man, I was a software engineer because I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like it. He goes, there wasn't anything wrong. He's just like, it just wasn't for him. So he literally went out and bought a guitar and started doing Elvis impersonations. And he just started collecting mailing addresses. Because he started this back before the internet was as big as it was, right? Because he'd been doing this for a while.
Right.
And now he does emails. And that's how he started doing it. And that's how he lets people know that he's going to be in town, whatever week he's going to be in town.
Right.
Gives them an opportunity to buy a ticket. So he does this every week.
Huh.
And he just plays in the state of Texas. And he probably did a couple of competitions out in Vegas. But, sorry. I was like, I asked him the same question. I was like, what do you think, what's the most important thing for me to do? And he goes, start your retirement now. And he's just like, try to put as much into it as you possibly can. He goes, I'm going to retire here in the next few years. And he goes, but I'm retiring as a millionaire, or whatever. Like, I don't know. I think if you did 25 years now, you could probably have over 700K, I think is what it was the last time I saw it. And that was a few years ago. Who knows with the economy, where it's going right now. Yeah, we don't have to talk about that, but.
The finance. We can't talk about that. But Roth IRA is important, though.
But I think as an entertainer or as an individual, like proprietor or somebody, you need to find a way to create your own retirement. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be Roth IRA. There's multiple avenues, like the mutual funds, or, find a book, read it. Like that's what I have to say. Like,
what's a book that you recommend?
The most recent one that I read was the 10 Faces of Innovation.
Huh. I need to read that.
It's a good book because I grew up thinking about like what was the most important person in the room in a meeting, like a business meeting. Like this is like, we'll just take music and everything. This, like you're a business owner, CEO, like who's the most important person in the room and what's the biggest problem? And the book talks about groupthink, and for people who don't know what groupthink is, it's just like everybody that works so closely together, they can't think of a solution to the problem. So we depend on somebody to kind of separate break up the thought. So we call that the devil's advocate, right?
Right.
That person that sits out there and they're like, they say they're the most important person in the room, but they're always the first to be asked to leave. And that was a pretty funny quote that I read because, like, they notice what's contributing to the problem first, but sometimes they don't always come up with a solution. And so that's like the beginning of this book. It talks about how the devil's advocate kind of has played itself out of the business meeting, and how that there's 10 different personas that one person can do to help eliminate groupthink, interacts with the meeting in a positive way, and how each person participates in solving the problems to whatever situation the company may be having. 10 Faces of Innovation. It's really good. But that was the last one that I read.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's like had nothing to do with music or anything like that. Well, I guess this has more to do with the entrepreneurial side of business.
It comes down to like even like a music or anything like that. Like if you're doing what you love, but you have to live, and then you might as well make money and then have a comfortable life. But if you don't have a comfortable life, you get stressed. You can't do what you love. So I think it's all connected. I think that people think everything is separate, but I think balance is important, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. My philosophy is that just live life as a whole.
Yeah.
I don't really think of work as a work, training as a training, or relationship. I'm just kind of like, this is my life.
Yeah. Right.
That's just kind of like how approach I take it. But can you tell listeners or viewers where can you find your stuff?
You can always look me up at jesseallen.com, which is JESSEALAN.com. I've definitely got all the social media stuff. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok. I've started that up. I know, right?
Nice.
Well, those videos, making those little shorts, it is so much easier to do the shorts than to make the actual promotion, like using Photoshop and everything. Like I can just get on the phone and be like, hey guys, this is where I'm going to be at. This is where you can contact me if you want more information. And it's like quick in and out. It's so much easier and more people are going to see it. And so that's cool. I'll still make the promotions. So, because sometimes the venues like to share that on their own so they can talk about features and events that are coming up for them locally. That's another thing, like, when you come to pricing as a musician, you've got to pay the band. You've got to pay for the gear. You got to pay for the gas to get there. And then, like, if they rely on the musician to create the promotions, I mean,
charge it.
Yeah, you gotta charge it. Like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like I did 5 shows last week. It's like that's 5 promotions.
Yeah.
That's at least 4-5 hours. Just sitting in a computer room, just like, all right, let's make the promos
And doing thing on the phone.
Yeah,
Say, hey guys.
yeah, just start making people aware that you exist.
Right.
Why is this complicated?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I will put on the link in the description so people can find it.
Thanks, man.
And then, I know this is the second episode. Not many people are going to probably listen to it. But when we get famous, a lot of people are going to listen to it.
You never know, man.
So 5 years later,
all right,
we're going to have 1 million views on this podcast.
Yeah.
That's
Bolo, be on the lookout. That's the name of the album, man. I'm stoked.
Well, thanks, everybody. Well, always be frank. See you guys next time.
See you guys.
Right, thanks, Jason. Awesome.
Thanks, Jason.
Cut again.